Hey people, it's me, Eco Chick, and I just wanted to talk about the question, what do food date labels really mean? Sell by, best if used by, used by. So let's just talk about that for a minute. So the sell by is the date that it tells the store how long they can display an item for sale, and that you should buy the product before that date expires. It doesn't mean the food is expired, it just means the store needs it off their shelves. Best if used by or before is a recommended for best flavor or quality, and it's not a purchase or a safety date. So some foods can go well past that date, especially if it's a packaged item. It just might not taste quite as fresh maybe or as flavorful, but it doesn't mean that it is going to be unsafe to eat. And then the use by date, that's the last date recommended for the use of the product at peak quality. Again, if you go past the date, maybe it isn't going to taste quite as good, but it isn't going to be bad for you. And think about it, manufacturers are the ones that are putting those dates on things, and they want to sell you products, and they want to sell you products more often. So you sort of have to use the sniff test. If it passes the sniff test, it could have a taste test. And if it passes both of those things, it is highly likely whatever it is going to be just fine. And if something gets a little stale, maybe a tiny bit less flavorful, you could add some herbs and spices and kind of give it a little bit more flavor. So here's another question. How long does perishable food usually last? That is such a great question. So salads that are already prepared, especially if they have meat or like mayonnaise or things like that, they don't last so long. Especially, remember, things have to be below 40 degrees. 40 degrees or lower for refrigeration, and then there's a freezer recommendation too. So those salads with those meats and mayo and stuff, only 3 to 5 days in the fridge, fresh, and they don't freeze very well. So that's just something to think about. Maybe if you're buying that in bulk at a deli, you would just get just enough to eat for that meal and not more. Lunch meat, if it's opened and it's deli slices, it could be up to a week, and it can freeze for 1 to 2 months if you do it properly. And then unopened packages of those sorts of things that were maybe packaged at a place and then sold in a package could stay a little longer, a couple weeks, and same thing, 1 to 2 months in the freezer. Bacon and sausage, they're about a week in the fridge. Sausage though, wow, I didn't know this. If it's raw and from a chicken or other animals, it will only be a couple days, but those can freeze for over a month. Burger and other ground meats, it's 1 to 2 days fresh in the fridge, but it can freeze for several months. And then, on down into other meats. So it's, not so many days in the fridge, months for freezing. Soups and stews, those are things that are prepared. If it's fresh, just a couple days, can freeze for a few months. And then leftovers, all the leftovers. Most leftovers, especially if they have meat, are only good for a couple of days. And you definitely, if it was in your car, if it was like a takeout leftover or something and didn't get right in the fridge, that time isn't going to be very long. So you definitely want to do the sniff and taste test on those. But if you freeze those things, it could, be a couple of months. So the freezer is your friend. It can give a lot of life to your food. And it's just a matter of thawing things out and being a little bit more prepared when you're eating. That's the big idea. The more prepared we can be with our food, the more we can be in touch with how much we waste. And so that's what's up with sell-by labels. This is Eco Chick, signing out.